Hey beauties, good afternoon to you. Boy, the days them still hot and the mornings are cold. Like I literally can be covering up now. You know what I mean? The mornings are literally cold, but the day, like during the daytime, is still warm. Ah, can't wait for it to just cool down a bit during the daytime. But beautiful people, listen to me now. I'm stuffy, I guess because the change in time right now, the hot and the cold. So beautiful people. Um, yes, beauties, sorry. So I was watching news last evening. Gosh, the line just so cliche now. And the commissioner was on. He was basically saying, and I'm paraphrasing, and this is how I got it, that they're trying to find long term measures to reduce, to mitigate violence in schools. And I began to think about when my mother would tell me about her days in schools. So her generation, the generation that is after hers, I'm a part of the early millennials. I would be a part of the early millennials. I think you have like a generation, must say Y or X, then baby boomers. Before that, you would have baby boomers, and then you would have the traditional. Tell mommy so she could be at her at two generations we skip, because of how they do this funny thing. But doesn't matter. But in her days, the baby boomers era, even Generation X, even in terms of the early millennials into the mid millennials, there are certain traditions that were passed down. And even to this very day, we can say that there is just a culture that is just synonymous with Jamaicans. We're known to be very aggressive people, so called no nonsense. In other words, we know how to, if somebody tries to disrespect us, or we're not going to take it. We're going to respond, if people try to disrespect us. That's, the general atmosphere of Jamaican people. Like we just hot-headed. They always say that it's the Tainos them that did stay in Jamaica, boy. And, but as it relates to school, like back in my mother's days, they had, when they pass older people, that they would call elders, they had to say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, as the case may be. In fact, if they committed some sort of a misconduct, some infraction, something that was just off, they would fret, because if they get a beating from the elder, and the elder knows their parent or parents and goes and reports, they're getting a second and a third and fourth and so on beating. You understand? Because in their minds, the children are wrong, the elders are correct. But she said to me that it maintained a level of accountability and discipline in the schools because they were held accountable. There was not any necessarily sheet, something that was it was unspoken, but it was very strong. The silence was deafening. You just knew not to disrespect any teacher. You knew not to fight in front of a teacher. You had to walk circumspect. And that tradition was done before my mother's generation. Remember, there's two other generations before she reached me. You understand me? And that tradition continued even to mine and even after mine. That tradition continued. People were disciplined. People were held accountable. The Bible says, do not spare the rod, because if you do, you will create monsters. Beating on the buttocks, if you don't want to say the word bottom, is okay. It's not abuse. It is not abuse. Discipline, obviously, when you're in high school now, they're probably not going to be bothered with the beating, but maybe at the basic school level, primary school level, the prep school level, fine. Don't beat on the hands and so on. Back in the day when I went to Vast Preparatory, my teacher would say, Toni-Ann, I gave a lot of trouble. So she would say, hold out your hand. And boy, I hated beatings. I was so skinny. And then, it hot. It beat you. It hot like fire. It's like fire burn you. I mean, like fire, they had the most stale. Me never like it. I did not like it. And, the teacher them never ran to give some. I was, I have to be careful of some of the words because of the people who watch my posts. Some lick. Some dog lick. The female dog lick. You understand me? And Or in some cases, when you're younger, like at the prep primary school level, basic level, they turn you around, beat you on the bottom. Bottom pusher can take the beatings, and it's not abuse. But trust me, because the child remembers and remembers that, and it might be a little bit humiliating too. Not necessarily beating in front of somebody, but just the fact that you're being beaten on your bottom. Oh no, you're not going to want that. So you're going to hold your corner. You're going to be respectful. If you even have some little squabble with your peers, you better hide that squabble, and as soon as the teacher say, Toni-Ann and whoever, you draw up your socks, you buckle your belt. What I see happening in school could never happen back in the day. No possible way. Because everybody a come tumble down by you. Everybody a tumble down by you. Police, teacher, lawyer, doctor, Indian chief. No way they would get along. You couldn't even think of threatening the teacher. So those are the long-term things, because if it happened in my mother's generation, before her generation, after that generation, the next, the baby boomers, the generation, whatever, the millennials, and so on, it therefore means that the formula works. It works. The long-term thing is that you have discipline and accountability. I'm not saying that you have to be monstrous. I'm not saying that you have to be crabby and coarse and rough all the time. The Bible says a soft answer turns away wrath. We understand that, but you have to balance that with some sort of what we would call tough love in this generation. You have to balance it. That is the long term. So you're a much older man than I am. So it's something that you would experience even if you were not grown up here in Jamaica. This is something that, when we think about like other countries, they were more, what should I say, more, they held on to their principles. It's not like now when you see them totally liberal. Maybe they were too strict. That is why they're so liberal now. There was probably no balance. When we think of Britain, because remember most of our model comes from that, a lot of our culture and practices come from the British monarchy. These things happen when you think of the United States. What people are seeing today is not what used to happen in yesteryears. They were more strict than how we were. You follow? So, sir, if you're going to take out prayer 1, prayer to Jesus Christ, if you're going to take out that, ultimately, if you're going to take out discipline, if you're going to take out accountability, then you really don't have no other measures in terms of long term. It's almost like saying that we don't need to eat food or drink any water, but we can live without any form of meal. Whether the meal wants to be liquid or solid. It is almost like saying that. So if you're going to take out those 3 strong areas out of schools, then it makes no sense that you say, what are the long-term measures? Don't ask a question. It's really, it's rhetorical. You cannot be having teachers fearing students because they feel they're going to carry some bad man, relative or friend to come and either get rid of them, beat them up or whatnot. Look at what happened with that school, that student beat up a girl, and then the tires of the teachers, is the teacher got boxed up? Right, the math teacher. Boxed up, and her tires were slashed or damaged or whatever the following day. What? What are you really saying to me? And I'm asking what are the long-term measures? What can to stop violence in schools? And then you're going to say, oh, poor me. Because they don't. Yes, we understand that the homes are broken. 90% of the homes are dysfunctional. But from before my granny days, dysfunctional homes debut. Remember, slavery started that thing, where it used to separate the husband from the wife and they picketed them a long time. But some of them decide. You see, when you mentally decide that, okay, yes, I'm hurt. Yes, I'm broken. Yes, I'm this. But I want a better life. I'm not perfect, but I want a better life. I'm going to instill a few disciplinarian measures in my home so that the next generation can be better. And you keep passing that down. You understand me? If you never know, you have to learn. I never grew up with a father either. But I have to learn a lot of things. Every day I have to decide, Lord, I want to be better. Ask him to help me and I have to try. I can't decide because, I never get this and I never get that. And Lord, I can't do that. It's not going to help me. So they have to learn. So, sir, if you're going to take out them 3 things, it don't make no sense. Guys, follow me on TikTok. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Please share this message.